Hello and welcome to our next lesson of being a writer. This week we'll be making opinions about whether we think zoos are good for animals or bad for animals. And we will be using the Oreo method. Now this is a method that we can use when we're writing opinion pieces, and how it works is the O in Oreo stands for your opinion. So what is your opinion? Do you think zoos are good or bad? And you're going to give at least two reasons and examples, but on my board I'm only going to have one. So you're going to give the R in Oreo means reason. So what is your first reason that you think zoos are either good or bad for animals? Then your example is connected to the reason. When you go to example, it's really explaining it further. So you give your reason and then you give your example. And then finally in the end, to wrap it up, you restate your opinion again. So I'm going to read two articles. Zoos are good for animals. Zoos are bad for animals. Now, for this writing purpose, you are going to have to pick whether you think zoos are good or bad. You may think they're both good and bad, but just for our exercise, we're going to pick one. And I will also post this on Schoology. So let's start with zoos are good for animals. So zoos are good for animals. Lions, tigers, and bears, oh my! Just about everyone enjoys a trip to the zoo, but are zoos good for animals? Many people think that they are. One way that zoos help animals is by caring for them and treating animals that are sick. For example, the Wildlife Health Center at the Bronx Zoo in New York provides care for more than 15,000 animals. The zookeepers at the Bronx Zoo also work with animals to keep their minds and their bodies healthy. For example, the zookeepers use toys and games to help tigers develop their natural instincts, such as the instincts needed for hunting. Zoos protect animals too. Animals in zoos are safe from hunters. Zoos are also safe places for animals whose habitats are being threatened. By protecting animals, zoos help endangered species survive. In the last 30 years, zoos working with other conservation groups have helped save the black-footed ferrets, California condors, red wolves, and other endangered species. Zoos are also places where scientists can study animals. Zoos often share information with other zoos and scientists, which help everyone learn about the animals. The more we understand about our animal friends, the more we can help protect them. The next time you visit a zoo, say thank you to the zookeepers for making the life for animals better that live there. All right. So just an example, if I were to say, I think zoos are, I would say, let me get my good for animals. I think zoos are good for animals. That's my opinion. Now, I'm going to pick a reason from this article as to why that would support my opinion why zoos are good for animals. I would say, so pulling from I would say zoos protect animals. That's my first reason. So I stated my opinion. I think zoos are good for animals, and I've given a reason. Now, for example, I need to explain my reason a little bit more. So if my reason is zoos protects animals, I would say many animals are endangered and zoos save them. So my reason was zoos protect animals, so I went a little bit deeper and I explained my reason more. And I said many animals are endangered and zoos save them. And now, I'm going to wrap up my opinion and by restating it. And I would say that is why I think zoos are good for animals. So that's what it would look like if my opinion was for zoos are good for animals. Okay, now I erased the board. Now I'm going to read zoos are not good for animals. Zoos are not good for animals. And then we'll go through it again and write my reasoning for why I think zoos are not good for animals. Okay. Imagine that you are visiting a zoo. You notice a lion in its cage pacing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The lion seems restless and unhappy, and it probably is. Experts say that when a lion, tiger, or other animal paces in a cage like that, it often means that the animal is bored or upset. Does that make you feel bad? If so, you are not alone. Many people believe that keeping animals in zoos is cruel and unnatural. For one thing, some of the enclosures in the zoos are much too small for the animals. Many zoos try to make their enclosures look like the animals' natural habitats. But just because it looks right doesn't mean that it's good for the animals. Take elephants, for example. In the wild, elephants walk as much as 30 miles every day looking for food and stopping at watering holes. Not even the best zoos can build enclosures large enough for elephants to live as they do in their natural habitats. In the wild, animals learn how to survive when they are very young. For example, a young leopard learns how and where to hunt by watching its mother. When they are raised in the zoo, leopards and other youngs never learn these and other important skills. They do not have to because humans feed and protect them. This is not a good thing. Most animals raised in zoos can never go back to their natural habitats. Some people say that zoos teach people about animals. Others argues that we do not have to put animals in cages to learn about them and that they belong in their natural habitat. All right. So now, if I were to say zoos are not good for animals, one reason I could give would be zoo habitats are not like their normal habitat. Oh gosh, habitat. Kind of small there. So, my reason is zoo habitats are not like their natural habitats. One example I could give that supports this reason is from the article. Elephants walk 30 miles each day. Zoos are not big enough. And finally, I would restate my opinion. That is why I think zoos are not good for animals. So, your assignment for this week in Schoology is I will post the Oreo graphic organizer, and you are going to write your opinion. whether you think zoos are good or bad for animals. It's up to you. And you're going to give me 2 reasons and 2 examples. All right? I will post both of these articles in Schoology for you to reread, and you can pull your reasonings from this article. Thank you.